Blast me to Electia! It's time for the Mad Merlins Warhammer 40,000 Imperium Journey. Issue 46, Part 2. Adepta Sororitas Build Guide. Woohoo! Hello everyone and welcome back to the Mad Merlins Warhammer 40,000 Imperium Journey. So this is just going to be a quick video on how to build the Adepta Sororitas models from issue 46. What I'm going to do is cover each sister individually. I'll cut the pieces off camera and clean them up, and then go through the stage-by-stage build guide that the magazine details, just in case you find any of the bits tricky. Though these models being monopose, they are pretty straightforward. I'll give you a few extra hints and tips along the way on how to best build these models. Right, we'll start with Sister 1, so these are parts 34, 35, 36, 37 and head 39. So I'll clip those off and we'll get them cleaned up and I'll show you how to put them together. So here we have our first 5 components clipped out and we're ready to apply some glue. So what we want to do is take the rear torso. You want to apply a little bit of glue just to the lower leg there, along the shoulder blades, around the abdomen, and just on the inside of the thigh there. Then we can bring in the front torso, lining it up, and squeezing it firmly together like so. Then we can apply a couple of blobs of glue to the feet. And glue her down to her base. Personally, I'm going to be leaving the backpacks off just to make reaching all that details a little easier. But if you want to glue them on, just apply a little bit of glue in the recess there and push them onto the post. And for the bolt gun arm, you want to apply a touch of glue just there and up underneath the shoulder guard, slotting the bolt gun in place. Again, you could possibly leave these off, but personally you're not going to be missing too much detail, so you can easily glue them on. The paint guide actually does show only the bottom 3 beads on each side being painted. So again, you're not missing much detail. And finally, spotted glue just in the neck well. And we can slot her head into place. I'll just push her backpack on for the moment. So that's our first Sister of Battle. Moving on to the second one. So these are parts 40, 41, 42, 43, 44 and head 46. I'll just cut those out and I'll be right back. Okay, we have our next set of pieces clipped out. So to glue this one together, we're just going to run the glue along her shoulders, down her sides of her torso, over her hip, and down this groove here where her skirt will fall. Then we can lower in our front torso. There we have it, wipe away any excess glue. Next we can glue in her left arm. Just a little bit of glue up in the shoulder. And slot the arm into place. Now for her right arm, again, bit of glue up in the shoulder, spot glue on her wrist. Bring in her bolt gun arm. Slide up in and line it up. There we have it. Next we can put spotted glue just inside the neck well there, and slot in a head. Finally, put a little bit of glue just on the bottom of her foot there, and glue her down to the base. And there we have our second battle sister. Again, I'm going to leave the backpack separate, so we'll just push it on for the moment. There we go. So our next sister is a little bit more intricate. She has a few more components, and we have some sub-assemblies to make first. So first off, we need parts 47, 48, and 49. This is her front and rear torso, plus her legs. Then we need 50, 51, 52, and head 54. I'll clip those off, and I'll be right back. So we have our next set of components clipped out and ready. And we do have to be... No, we don't. Okay, now I have all the pieces clipped out. So we are going to have to be careful with some of the fragile components, such as this chaplet ecclesiasticus on her hip. And we also have this very, very small component, which is her left arm. So to save losing this, I suggest gluing that in first of all. So just a small dab of glue in there. And she has a ball and socket to line her up perfectly. So there we have that. So next we want to glue the two halves of the front together. So we want a bit of glue just in there above her hip. And we lower her torso in place like so. Next we can start applying glue to the back half here, along the shoulders, down the sides, and across her butt cheeks. Bringing in our rear torso and pushing the two together. And there we have that. So next up, we'll glue her head in place. Like so. Followed by her right arm bolter. Lining up the wrists and the elbows like so. And then finally, we need to attach part 120, her bolt pistol. Like so. It really shows it being in a weird position in the magazine. And all we got to do is glue her down to her base. Spot of glue on her foot. I'll push her down, holding her in place for a while the glue takes hold. So now we'll build our first Seraphim. So these are components 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 and head 26. We have our first Seraphim clipped out. So the first thing you want to do is apply a little bit of glue to shoulders, her sides, a small post just there. Then bring in her front torso and line up and push together. That will make a lot easier for locating her left leg. So just apply a bit of glue and then slot it in place. And apply a small dab of glue to the inside of her shoulder there. And push in her right arm like so. And we can just dab of glue in there. And put her head in. Now, much for this is a battle, I'm actually going to leave these backpacks separate. But just so we know where we're going with the model, we can test fit it against the flying stand like so. And we know we can glue it in place with a slightly upward angle. So I've applied a spot of glue just to the top of the stand there, holding the model, bring in a stand and slowly apply it to the base of the jump pack. And then we have our jump pack glued in place, ready for our first Seraphim. So now we can build our second Seraphim, which is parts 27, 28, 29, 30, 31 and 33. So we're ready to assemble Seraphim 2. And the first thing you want to do is apply glue to her back torso, bring in her front torso, line the two up and push them together. Then on her hip here, I'm going to apply some glue, bring in a right leg, and the tab will fit into the slot, like so. That's those two pieces glued together. So next up, put a bit of glue just up underneath her shoulder pad, bring in her right arm, and have it sitting just off, more straight than the other one. Then we can put in a small dab of glue in her neck and glue down her head. So there she is, blasting away with her pistols. And much like the first one, we'll apply dab of glue to the top of the stand, lower her backpack in place, just so we get an idea of where she'll be standing. Then we can remove her and let the backpack dry in place. Just make sure you keep your models close by the stand so you remember which one goes to which. If you do get it confused, just have a close look at the instruction guides and you should be able to match up components quite easily. Okay, we only have 2 models left to build. So first up, we got our Repentia, and then we got our Archoflagellant. So our Repentia is parts 15, 16, 17, and 18. So I'll clip those out, clean them up, and I'll be right back. So here we have our Repentia, just the 4 components. So first off, we'll want to glue her leg in. So just up underneath here, put a little dab of glue. Bring in her leg. There's a tiny tab and notch it will go into. And there we have her leg. Next up, we want to put a little bit of glue on each of her shoulders. And we can bring in her chainsword. Lining it up. Sitting flush like so. And finally, we want a dab of glue on her neck. And we can lower in her head. Like so. All what's left to do is to glue it down to her base. Now I suggest doing it upside down like this because you are going to have to put a fair bit of pressure on. And if doing it this way, you're putting pressure on the base and not the model. I made that mistake when I did these the first time around. But there we go. That's our Repentia built. Now on to our Archoflagellant. So the Archoflagellant, you won't need too much guesswork as to what's left. It's all the parts left on the frame that aren't heads. So we want parts 10, 11, 12, and 14. So here we have our Archoflagellant all ready to be built. And we just need to run a little bit of glue down the side of his torso here. And push the 2 halves together. You also want to put a little bit of glue on this cable here. Take extra care when clipping that and cleaning that up, as it was fairly fragile. I almost broke it, but just take plenty of care with it. And now we can see it's perfectly in the correct place. Just make sure apply enough pressure to the torso so that it glues together correctly. There we have it. Now what I like to do is put some glue on the head and a little bit on the chest there. Then we can bring in our faceplate. Doing that now means we won't accidentally knock loose our final part, which is his left arm. Get a small bit of glue on that cable as well, so that it attaches in place. And just like with our Repentia, we'll hold it upside down, put a bit of glue on the stand on its foot, and lower the base in place, holding it for a few seconds just so the glue adheres. And there we have our little psycho murderer. Well, that's what you get for being a heretic. So there you have it. That is issue 46 of the Imperium, all built up. If you follow the guides, you can't really go wrong. A few extra tips I've given you will be quite useful as well. So gluing the bases to the model rather than the models to the bases will save you putting pressure on weak components and damaging them. Make sure you leave backpacks separate if you like to reach all the detail. When it comes to cleaning up your backpacks, you have small little rivets on each end of the power pack. What I like to do is put your knife in behind the rivet and then cut towards these ridges. That way, cutting towards those ridges, that way you are less likely to damage that small rivet and lose the detail. I need to do a little bit of an extra cleanup on that backpack, and I've still got some mold lines to remove. But other than that, they look pretty good. So yeah, just take your time, go slowly, follow the instructions, be wary of small components so they don't fly off and get lost, and also be careful with clipping out the Repentia and the Arcoflagellant, as there are some very fragile components. Also, the magazine is very helpful at telling you how to build these models. It does mention about using extra glue to make sure the flying stand glues to the base properly and giving plenty of drying time. The same for attaching it to the backpack of the Seraphim. It also does say to use the head options given in the magazine, as you'll be receiving this sprue again in a future issue. So you'll be using the bare head options in that issue. Of course, you can always save these and use them and scatter them across your other Sisters of Battle models. Personally, I'd always go with the bare heads because I like to paint flesh and hair. It's quite a nice different textures to paint. You could also then use the helmets as detritus on bases, so lost helmets during battle, even defeated sisters. You can put them on all your other models from the Imperium collection. So that is it. I think the video's gone on long enough. I didn't plan on filming this, but my friend Jason wanted an extra bit of help for building his models, so I filmed this for him. But if you have also found this video helpful, please give it a like and let me know down in the comments below. So that's all there is. There is, of course, all my usual links in the description down below, so don't forget to check those out. Subscribe if you don't already do so, and I will see you next time for more mad content. Goodbye.